Alright guys, so today we are going to be taking a look at the 1:1 44 scale high grade Murasame Kai from Gundam Seed Freedom. So I got this kit for a casual 2,500 yen at Kansai Airport when I was traveling to Japan. So that's actually a fairly nice price grab. No tax included, so that's pretty nice. But other than that, this overall kit is comprised of 9 different runners, not including the beam saber. Obviously, if you were to include a beam saber, that will be 10 runners in total, but 9 is actually quite a lot for a kit that looks pretty simple, I would say. But overall, as far as the detail of this kit is, I think everything is definitely coming down to the head section. I really love the head section from the Murasame Kai. It definitely gives me kind of like a Gundam-esque type, kit overall. That's why I was like, why not actually grab it? It definitely disguises itself as like Gundam, but overall, the other section, like the arms, like the shoulder pads, they're not as detailed. And then once we come down to the leg section, they do look pretty minimalistic. Overall, I guess that is in the nature of just being a grunt mobile suit as a whole. But other than that, I do like this kit. In general, it's pretty solid overall. Not a whole lot of detail missing, if you ask me, as far as the color aspect of things. The only thing that comes to mind, like actually missing, not included as sticker, are going to be these two sections from the legs. So these would have been like the same orange as on the torso or on the back of the arms, but other than that, everything else are going to be covered with sticker, and they are fairly minimum. So let me kind of show you guys. So this is the sticker sheet. So you have it for the eyes, obviously, and you have it for the beam rifle. So these four, red and green, they are kind of like the light source from the back of the legs. So in the flight mode, you guys will definitely see a little bit more vividly, and on the wings, so they are more to signal kind of like, oh, you have something like an aircraft in the space or in the air, in the atmosphere. So you have that. These two white section are for the back part or on the wing, specifically in this section, but you don't really notice it in the mobile suit form. So even if you do not apply these stickers, I think you should be fine. This white section right here, I don't know what these two are, but I don't really see anything that's wrong with it. So you have that. Oh, the thing that I forgot about, these missiles. So the missile actually does have a yellow tip on top as well, I think for all 5 of them, and then 10 on both sides now. So they are missing some yellow or some orange tint on them, but other than that, everything else is pretty much well represented. Going to the articulation, the head can obviously move up and down, side to side, and rotation, it is going to be a problem because of the neck color and just the nature of how that black piece right there, this actually protrudes just a little bit where it smacks the color. So rotation wise, it is going to be limited depending on your angle, but other than that, looking up and looking down is going to be pretty solid overall. The arms, you can get a swing out this much depending on how you look at things. You can actually get it out by that much. So you can you actually reach across? The answer is kind of yes. And the shoulder pad is individually, you can move it this way, so you can actually bring it all the way up. As far as how much you can actually move the overall arm up, it's only going to be that much actually, so you don't actually have the best mobility in terms of the arm section, so only perpendicular or just a 90 degrees. Arms is you can actually rotate it on the bicep, and then you do have a single bent right here that actually goes over by that much, so it's actually pretty nice. The hand is going to be on a ball joint socket, so you can actually rotate it, wiggle it as so. The waist articulation goes as follows, so you can have it back and forth like this. So I would definitely say there's not much for the back movement, but the front is actually a lot. You have side to side, pretty decent actually, so that's a lot. As far as the rotation, you don't actually have a lot, so you can rotate it this much, and the other side, so you cannot get like a full rotation, unfortunately. Coming down to the waist section, we have the front skirt that actually just goes up like this. You can actually separate it in half if you want to. The side skirt, you do have it's going to be at a ball joint, so you can bring it up that much, so on this side as well. And in terms of this connection, this is going to be the only one that has the beam saber, while the other slot is going to be for the beam rifle. But But other than that, you can actually rotate this as well, so if you do want that. The back skirt is not movable, so it's just going to be a fixed part right there. Now coming down to the legs section, you can actually have the legs swing out all the way out like this. Backward wise, it's not going to be up by a lot because you are going to be hindered by the back skirts. As far as the bent itself, you do have this much, so that's actually quite impressive. So in theory, you can actually get a kneeling pose with everything that is in the back as well. So actually pretty good articulation. So you do have to play around with it to get the best angle, but otherwise you can actually get this done. And you do have a swivel, obviously. You can rotate it all the way if you want. So it's only, you can't really go all the way, but you can actually get a pretty good rotation out of it. Coming down to the feet section, you do have this feet guard that actually moves up this much. As far as the ankle wise, yeah, you don't really have the best side to side, so getting any ground pose, it is going to be fairly hard with this kit overall. Back kick, you do have not a lot. You guys can see it is going to be hindered by this piece, so you do gonna have to wiggle out of the way to get more movement. But in terms of the toes, you can actually fold all the way down for the transformation. As far as moving up, there is actually none, so that is as much as the feet can go. Now turning our direction into the backpack. The backpack, the nose cone can actually move just a little bit, not by much. As far as the wings themselves, you can just have them side to side like this, just kind of flop them out. They do not rotate by any means, so they are only swinging them inward and outward like that. The wings itself, you can actually, swing them up like this. And the missile themselves, they can rotate for the transformation purposes, so you can kind of angle it on the occasion, but other than that, they don't have any additional movement to them. Accessory wise, we don't really have a lot. We have a beam rifle over here, so we do have a handle that you can actually pop up, so it's gonna look something like this. Up next, we do have the shield, actually pretty color accurate. We do have the orange, white, and black, and you also do have a piece that actually connects onto the arm. So these two pieces actually does kind of flop open, so I don't know what kind of purpose they actually serve, but as far as what they can do, they do look pretty good having them fall out just like that. So it does actually give you, in a sense, that the shield is actually a little bit more beefier than it should be. The next thing we have is the parts formation. So this is where we can actually transform Murasame into the flight mode or the MA mode, depending on what you want to call it. But other than that, you do not need to remove a whole lot of pieces as far as like the lower section, because the side skirt are already included, and then the back and front skirt are included as well. And then obviously you do have your standard beam saber number SB13, so you have that. I'm not really gonna cut them off because they are going to be the same as every one of them. So I'm just gonna use one for my spare part because I do have a lot of these stored already, so that's what we are gonna use to try out the beam saber. Alright, so let's actually attach the beam rifle. So the beam rifle is just gonna attach fairly smoothly like this. So let's actually get this in. Come on. Bam, we got that. Or if you don't want to use a beam rifle, you can actually just attach it onto the side skirt. So you see this little notch right here, so it is going to line up perfectly with whatever is on the side skirt. So it should pop in nicely like so. Let me see. Come on, there you go. So you can have that. So it doesn't look that bad overall. It does not really intrude a lot of these parts, so not bad overall. And then the shield is going to attach onto this hard point right there, so you can peg it, via this direction, or you can just actually rotate it via the ball joint if you want. So you have it like this, so that's cool. Up next, the beam saber. Let's actually get that in the hand as well. It's actually not that bad. Two-piece sandwich together, and then should fit in very nice. So have it in, oh, so this one you actually do have to remove the hand cover. So that's what I don't really like about that, because like it is gonna get the hand guard really loose, especially this piece right there. So let's actually remove this. You know what the smart thing to do? Instead of removing the hand cover, you can actually separate these two pieces, and then you can just do this. Why not do that? Yeah, that's a smarter way of doing it. So instead of actually removing the hand cover, this should have been a better way of doing that. So now that we have that cover, we can put the beam saber on. Voila. And there you guys go. So that's pretty much all the armament, so kind of every accessory possible for Murasame Kai. And then the other thing we need to do is put it into the MA mode. This is what we are left with after removing all the required parts to make it into the MA mode or the flight mode. So let's actually put this onto the side while I put all the rest of the part onto this block right here. Alright guys, and there we have it. We have successfully part transformed Murasame Kai into the MA mode. So you guys do notice we do have these two parts that were added to the wings. I'm not really sure what they're called, but in terms of the MA mode, we actually do have these two additional parts that are added. So if you guys do know what these two parts are specifically, you guys can definitely let me know. But in terms of the MS mode, we don't actually, you can actually include them, but in terms of the instruction manual, it does not say anything about including it. But I mean, it does actually make the MA mode a more complete look, I guess, in a way. But other than that, in terms of Murasame Kai in the MA mode, I think it actually looks pretty impressive. It definitely looks solid. It's just part forming it. You know, I don't think there's anything that's loose. Everything else seems pretty solid. I don't think any pieces are going to be moving anywhere. So it looks pretty good. I'll definitely say it is pretty intimidating, even though we only have one of these. But imagine you have like 10, 50, or even 100 of these looking in the enemy direction. Like just having these missiles on the side, on the wing specifically, does actually add a level of threat to it. But other than that, I think that's just kind of my opinion to it. But you guys can let me know how you guys feel about the MA mode. To wrap things up, I think the Murasame Kai is a overall pretty solid kit. The build itself is fairly simple and straightforward. I don't think there's any complication to it at all. The mobile armor mode feels pretty easy to part transform without any issues. I just like the fact that there's not a lot of like small parts here and there, so everything is kind of keep nice and tucked within just the main torso and the head and the shoulder piece, so that's actually pretty nice. There are enough surface detail panel lining where you can, you know, certainly make the kit stand out a little bit more if you do want to put in the effort. And if you guys do want to go a little bit extra mile, you can probably do some you know, scribing and then just add in a few extra detail to make it pop even more. But the final presentation is definitely left to be desired depending on how you guys think about it compared to the movie. I know compared to the promotional image, the shoulder pads are a little bit smaller, and just the overall kit, I think it seems taller in the image, while the actual kit itself, you know, seems a little bit regular to me in a way. But I think that's definitely left to be decided to your own you know, take on it. But my real complaint is definitely how the kit lacks, you know, some sort of articulation, especially near the shoulder areas, and then kind of like the ankle, where the kit does not let you kind of pose those really cool dynamic poses. Even though we already have the C action joints, but I just feel that there is some sort of limit to it when on the kind of post that I can make. But however, this is just a personal take on this issue. If you guys do think otherwise, you guys can definitely let me know that in the comment section below. But other than that, that is going to be it for me, and I'll be catching you guys all on the next one.